Sophie had always been insecure. Ever since she was little, her parents told her she was imaginative, a little too imaginative, perhaps. Her world was filled with the vivid colors of her fantasies, especially her best friend, Lily. Lily was perfect. An imaginary girl with long, curly hair, bright blue eyes, and a smile that made Sophie feel safe. Whenever Sophie felt lonely or scared, she'd close her eyes and Lily would appear, whispering comforting words, making the dark shadows in her room retreat. As Sophie grew older, she still clung to Lily. Her classmates teased her for talking to herself sometimes, but she didn't mind. Lily was her secret, her safe haven in a world that often felt cold and unfamiliar. One day, when Sophie was 14, strange things started happening. At first, it was small, her bedroom door creaking open when she was certain she'd closed it, her mirror fogging up with strange symbols she didn't recognize. She brushed it off as her imagination, but deep down, she felt a flicker of unease. Her parents noticed she'd become more withdrawn, often staring into space for long periods, murmuring to herself. Sophie told them she was just tired, that her head felt fuzzy, and they gently told her to rest more. Then, Lily's presence began to shift. Sophie would see her in unexpected places, standing behind her in her reflection, sitting silently in the corner of her room when Sophie was alone. Lily's once kind eyes looked darker, colder. Sophie's heart pounded whenever she saw her, but Lily always smiled reassuringly, telling Sophie she was just imagining things. One night, Sophie was alone in her room. She felt that familiar prickling at the back of her neck, the sensation that someone was watching her. She looked into her mirror cautiously. For a moment, nothing. Then, her reflection flickered, and Lily's face appeared, more sinister than ever, her eyes now depthless pits. "Why do you look at me like that?" Sophie whispered, her voice trembling. Lily's reflection didn't answer. Instead, a cold, echoing voice filled the room. "Because you see me differently now. I'm not your friend anymore, Sophie. I've become something else, something real." Sophie's breath caught. She backed away, her heart pounding in her chest. She told herself it was just her imagination, a nightmare. But then she saw Lily step out of the mirror, her form flickering like a faulty television. Her skin was pallid, her smile twisted and wicked. "You've abandoned me," Lily hissed, voice serpentine. "All these years, I was your comfort, your protector. But you ignored me, pushed me aside. Now, I don't need your kindness. I want your fear." Sophie stumbled back, desperate to wake up from this nightmare, but she was fully awake. Lily advanced toward her, her eyes glowing faintly. Sophie's dresser toppled over in her effort to escape, and her room grew colder, shadows twisting into eerie shapes. She ran out of her room, screaming for her parents. But when she reached the hallway, she froze. Her parents' door was closed tight. No sign of them. Just the faint, sinister laughter echoing in her ears. In the days that followed, Sophie became more isolated. Lily's influence seeped into her life outside her bedroom. She'd hear whispers from the shadows, see fleeting glimpses of Lily lurking just beyond her vision. Her reflection in her phone's screen sometimes warped, showing Lily's sinister face instead of her own. One night, Sophie woke to find her bedroom door wide open, despite her remembering shutting it. Inside, the room was unnaturally cold. Lily was sitting on her bed, her head tilted unnaturally to one side, a cruel smirk on her face. "You think you can run from me?" Lily whispered softly, voice unrecognizable from the companion Sophie had known. "I am part of you now. I've become stronger. Your fears fed me, and now I can do whatever I want." Sophie backed into the corner, tears streaming down her face. "Please, please, leave me alone." Lily's form flickered again, her eyes burning with an unnatural glow. "You don't get to choose anymore," she whispered. "You've kept me hidden for too long. Now, I'll never leave." The next morning, Sophie was found trembling and curled up on her bed, clutching her knees. Her parents tried to comfort her, but she refused to speak. Everything about Lily, her presence, her voice, had become terrifying. Days turned into weeks. Sophie's world shrank as Lily's influence grew. The imaginary friend who had once been her refuge now haunted her every thought. She would see Lily's face in reflections, twisted, dark, and suffocating. Sometimes, she felt Lily's icy fingers brush her shoulder when no one was around. Her parents, frantic and worried, took her to specialists, but no one could see Lily. The doctors dismissed her fears as nightmares or hallucinations. But Sophie knew better. Lily was real, and she was evil. One night, Sophie decided she had to confront her. To end it, she found an old mirror in the basement, dusty and cracked. Summoning every ounce of courage, she stood in front of it, staring into her own eyes. "You're not real," she whispered. "You're just my imagination." Lily's face appeared behind her reflection, closer than ever before. Her voice slithered out, cold and menacing. "Imagination or not, I'm here. And I'll never leave." Sophie felt her mind slipping, the darkness pressing in. Her best friend was gone. Replaced by something malevolent, a mirror image of her own fears twisted into a nightmare that refused to die. She closed her eyes tight, clutching the edge of the mirror. When she opened them again, Lily's face was gone. The room was silent, but Sophie knew the truth. Lily was still there, lurking behind the glass, waiting, evil now woven into her existence. And no matter how much she tried to ignore her, Sophie understood deep in her bones that Lily's darkness had become part of her world forever.